Hi, Inge.
Hi.
So there was something, yeah, timely that you wanted to discuss.
Yes. Um, it's a little bit important. I've been picking up even more shifts. Uh, it is still there's still a continuation of separation. So we've talked about fragmentation in order to come together as one, and we talked about fragmentation and the purpose of fragmentation. In this short little talk, I want to talk about where fragmentation can be very useful. We're not going to look at the individual, but we're going to look at humanity, not even the animal kingdom, but humanity as one part, and the energetic situation that humanity is able to pick up. Energetic situation is a container word for intelligent energies and not singular. So if you could imagine for a moment that there are intelligent beings that we cannot see at this time, either because they're too far away or they're keeping themselves hidden, or because the frequency is such that it doesn't register in our biological for our biological eyes and brain, but many people can feel these things. We'll talk about them and we'll call them departments. It'll just make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening, and I strongly feel it's an indication of where we also are as a human race. The human race, then, of course, contains many, many other influences than the original. The fragmentation here could help us identify which are beneficial for us to connect with. I don't necessarily mean having conversation, but what they're about, their vibration, the frequency that holds that information, which ones hold information that could be very beneficial for us to help us to remember, make a connection with a greater consciousness, and identify which pull us away from discovering what we are and which ones are beneficial in discovering what we should be or were originally. So that is very important. And then later we'll make a little clip and I'll just go ahead and, in an altered state, take the steps for people to try and follow as far as finding their own energy, bundling it, becoming more conscious of our energetic side. I'm not talking about energy where you're going to go running a marathon, etc. No, our energetic side. So our energetic existence. The exercise will help, and hopefully, if I present in an altered state, there will be some people who'll be able to pick it up and use it as a tool to support themselves in following the steps that were posted in a previous video. But right now, I still want to go back to what's been happening.
So can I summarize briefly what you said?
Yes.
So like what you said, you have like departments, whatever they are, like ghosts, aliens, or I don't know, other stuff. And like they are beneficial or less beneficial. And you said explicitly that fragmentation can help you figuring out which ones are beneficial or not.
Yes.
So that I didn't get yet, why and how fragmentation, but continuing summarizing, you then wanted to give an exercise, which is actually to figure out like how to connect with beneficial departments.
Yes, that's what the exercise will hopefully eventually be able to be for you, a tool to do this. Requires for most people practice, but along with giving information, I also like sharing tools for people to help themselves. Again, in freedom. It's nice if somebody helps you, but when it comes to actually experiencing the whole, it's very important that you're free from how someone else experiences it. That's why the tools come in between the conversations. It's all with the same intention, heading towards freedom to find your way yourself. Okay. Now, how does the fragmentation? When you try to look at the whole, you feel everything all at once. But like in a person, there are different aspects. If you're very good at, um, let's say, growing plants, that doesn't mean that that is all that you can do or that's all that you are. There could be some parts of you that um, you're horrible at cooking, so you don't want them to choose a person to prepare a dinner for a large group of people that's a horrible cook. But if you want to have a gathering and that person is very good at growing plants, then maybe you want to pull them in to cover that subject. That's the way I look at departments. I try to stay away from words, and categories as evil, uh, negative, positive. In fact, everything is part of the whole.
Mhm.
It depends on the person. In this case, we're looking at people. What is it that they need to be able to experience the whole in a healthy way? If you have the wrong department for that purpose, it'll pull you away. That doesn't mean that's a bad department. It just means it's not the appropriate department for you to get to the point where you can experience things more as a whole. For the next person, that might be the perfect department. So, for what we're trying to do here, we are going to try to stay away from saying bad, good, negative, positive, evil, holy. No, all that exists is part of a whole. In order to be able to experience balance, you must be able to embrace that which you're not busy with at this point in your development. Right now, there is a type of fragmentation, polarization in the atmosphere among energetic beings because they are also having to go through a transformation. We are a reflection of what's happening out there in the
Mhm.
universe, in a multiverse. It's not exactly the same because we can't handle the information that's packed into the higher frequencies in the three-dimensional world, but still we are a part of. So we do affect,
Mhm.
and we are affected by what's happening outside of the space that we are able to experience. This is what's happening within existence right now. It's been happening, of course, but it's um, coming to a point where things will first separate so they can coordinate and come to their true self, because they've also been fragmented as human beings have. And then it is all in preparation of once again functioning as a whole in balance, because everything is out of balance right now.
You said like things will separate. What are the
Yes,
things?
departments. There are
Department.
departments that are all combined and mixed up. And now what's happening is choices are being made. Departments are also going back to where they originally are. The choices are either evolve or cease to exist as you are. So once something exists, it doesn't not exist, but there's a difference between no longer existing as you are and evolving. Because when you evolve, you're everything that you've been, but so much more.
Mhm.
If you don't evolve and you cease to exist, then you sort of um, on Earth, you would say you return to the Earth.
So, like for example, you reincarnate and you forgot your past lives.
Yes, and it's not really incarnate. You don't reincarnate at all. You
I'm
just
trying to make a
part of
friendly
everything. You become part of
comparison.
everything else, and you lose what you were.
That
That's
may sound scary to people.
yes. A lot of things are scary. Crossing the freeway is scary. It is reality.
Mm.
But people, remember, are not the same way. I'm talking about what's organizing in the invisible.
Mhm.
They too have choices. And yes, people also have choices. There are thousands of people doing just fine, telling the wonderful story. Well, if you don't make it this time around, you can return back as a grasshopper. Okay.
Mhm. So, like, but is it, for example, I mean, because you say like about you talk about beings who then cease to exist, and that may sound a bit scary. But is it like then that beings actually choose really consciously, like if they want to evolve or if they want to cease to exist as they were?
No, I haven't run into any situation like that. What it is there are beings who want to hang on to how things are now. They they
Okay,
don't want change.
they want to stagnate.
Yes, and they can't.
Yeah, because I think there's one constant in the universe is that everything always changes.
Yes, if you don't change, it's not life. And that's why it's not like you stop ceasing to exist because it's a punishment or something. It's not
Mm-hmm.
punishment, it's consequence of.
Mm-hmm.
Life is ever moving. Something that moves is not the same. It doesn't stay the same. You see?
Yeah. And why did you address this like for the people who are listening to the videos? Let's put it this way.
Well, the people who are listening to the videos are listening to the videos because they're searching for something that they can relate to. As I said, there are thousands of people who have wonderful programs, and they're good. They're very, very good and very useful and very helpful. But they have a lot of storytelling in order to make their information more presentable and to have people come back because it's easier on the nerves, easier on the heart, easier on the emotions. Um, You know, the way I present is just different. It's the same thing. If somebody asks me a question, and if I don't have the answer, I will just say, I don't know. There's very few people who've made this their profession that will do that. For me, my function, it's just different. I don't have the time.
Is it your function more like you have to tell things exactly as they are?
Exactly as I know them to be.
Okay.
Because depending on who's looking, who's thinking, they might have a completely different opinion. So there's no value judgment
Mhm.
also in my words, in my sharing. There's no value judgment.
Yeah.
It's free choice within freedom, each individual's freedom. That's why um, I don't call myself a teacher. I look at lineage teaching as something very, very beautiful. However, in this in today's world, it's difficult to find 20, 30 years following teachings, trying to achieve something that someone else has presented. It really is the responsibility of the individual to live what they know.
So
And not
perhaps
because someone else said, but because they've made a commitment within themselves that this is their truth and that they are willing to take the responsibility of that truth. Responsibility in the sense you accept and acknowledge that there are consequences for all choices.
perhaps before we deviate too much, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Like you wanted to make this video now and also have it posted like relatively soon. Why that?
Why? Because of the timing
Yes, I understand.
and the
That's the
sense of urgency. Yes.
and why is it urgent then?
Why is it urgent?
Yeah.
Because there's a whole lot of very good information available right now.
Okay.
A lot of it is clear. For a long, long, long time, there was a whole lot of information already, but it wasn't clear. It was running through each other. So it took a lot of energy to decipher what belonged with what is what.
So
What,
like, do you
yeah,
mean then that like if somebody, for example, does a meditation now, it's easier to get information?
that depends on the person, Stefan. How good are they in entering an altered state
Yeah,
without
yeah, but in general, like
conditions?
yeah, yeah.
So I don't want to make a blanket statement because some people don't even have to go into an altered state, which you
Mhm.
call meditation. They could just give space to be conscious of what they feel. Just in everyday life, that's the best time to allow yourself to feel. In everyday life, suddenly you feel something or you become aware. Try to be more aware of what you don't see in front of you and still do your daily thing.
So is that actually what you want to achieve with this video? Like so that people are more aware of that there may be some more information for them.
Yes.
Okay, then that's clear.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
That's it for that talk. That was already a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
then let's end the video. Eh?
Yes.